You should have a handout, and I hope that you haven't turned the page yet, because it does ask you, I'm really sorry to treat you as though you're back in a school exam, but this is audience participation. This experiment requires your participation. There is no opt-out. This is not an experiment that you're going to watch, but you are participants in. So for the moment, please don't turn the page. And when we turn to the next page, to the first part of the experiment, don't be tempted, don't be allured into trying to look ahead, because the success of it depends on your not seeing what happens next. You can turn over to the first page, and on the top of it you'll find something that looks like ancient Egyptian, which is a transcript of the first 7 lines of a conversation, an ordinary, mundane conversation between 2 people, one of whom has phoned the other. So Linda has phoned Jerry. Jerry answers this Wichita blueprint. It's obviously some kind of place of work, like a copy shop, probably. And we're going to hear, aren't we, Louise? Where is she? Okay. We're going to hear just these 7 lines. So if you'd listen carefully, I hope it's going to come through the... We'll come to those 2 later. Before we hear it, I'll read you through it. So Jerry answers, Wichita blueprint. Linda says, hey, Jerry. And that dot in line 3 in parentheses is it's a very short pause. Linda does an in-breath in line 4, that 2 H's. Jerry does yes. Linda then says hi, and he goes hi. And the question you're asked is, and so get out the pencils you were given for the previous session, the question you're asked is, to tick which of those relationships you think hold for these 2 people, and then to give a brief reason. But we'll hear it before you have to do that. Okay, we're ready.
Which was it, Frank?
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
And maybe twice more. Passes so quickly.
Which was it, Frank?
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
And once more.
Which was it, Frank?
Hey, Jerry.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Now you have 20 seconds to answer the question. There's no electric shock. Don't be afraid. But you just very quickly, which of these relationships you think these 2 people have, just hearing that. And remember that what you've heard is exactly what they've heard. So they are having to make up their minds about what their relationship is from exactly what you have. So what is their relationship? And give a quick reason. Have you all done that? That's 20 seconds. Just hands up. This doesn't involve you having to stand up and see if you can bend and touch your toes, or if you can twist your little finger up your nostril. Just put up your hand if you think that these people do not know one another. That relationship. They don't know one another. No one thinks that. So this is a bit like those seaside shows for audience. Do you think then, does everyone think that they know one another? Hands up for they know one another. Okay. Now, do they know one another well? Those who think they know each other well, a few. Some people, therefore, for not so well. These people don't know each other very well. A few. For those who thought that they don't know each other very well, what reason do you have for saying that? Why do you think they know each other but not terribly well?
There was a hesitation.
Okay, there's a hesitation. And is there any particular point in terms of line numbers here where you think that hesitation is evident?
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle, okay. So there's a hesitancy about it. Anything else about the hesitancy for those who thought that they didn't know one another well? Was there any other... Go on. You thought it was overcompensating. That's interesting. Okay, overcompensating in this high in line 7. When Jerry goes high, you think he's overcompensating. Anything else on don't know each other so well? Now, what about those of you who thought that they know each other well? What kind of relationship, first of all, did you have? Did you have friends? Close friends? Lovers? Colleagues? Colleagues gets a few more. Partners or spouses? Let's collapse those two categories. Spouses, married, or no one has that? Okay. And not strangers. Now, for those of you who thought that they know each other really quite well, and whether that's close friends or lovers or colleagues, particularly those three categories, why did you think that they know each other really very well? Sorry? The warmth. Warmth? Warmth in what? In any particular line there? Hi. Okay. She recognized him. Oh, okay. So Jerry recognizes Linda just from hearing her voice. Just that. That went for the know each other well. Okay, so take a mental note of those. Now you can turn to the next page. And the question I'm going to ask you is, now do you think that differently? So can we hear... I'll read it through and then we'll listen. So we go in Wichita Blueprint. Hey, Jerry? Yeah, hi. Linda says, hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got. And he goes, who's this? Let's hear it.
Which are the print?
Hey, Jerry?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got.
Who's this?
Linda.
And I think once more, just to get that full flavor.
Which are the print?
Hey, Jerry?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got.
Who's this?
Okay, 20 seconds. What's the relationship? You'll have noticed that I've added one relationship to the list that you saw in the previous page. I've added one which is they're strangers who happen to have misdialed or got across the line. That's just in case, that sort of thing happens sometimes. So which of these relationships? Okay, 20 seconds is up. Now the question is, let's start with do they know each other at all, or do they know each other well? Are they strangers or know each other and know each other well? So who thinks they don't know one another now? Who's changed their mind on that? Don't know one another, and that's in line with what you actually were thinking before. Okay, don't know one another. Anyone else think they don't know one another? Okay. And what are your reasons for thinking that they don't know one another?
Who's this?
Who's this?
I'm assuming this is a phone conversation.
Yes. So who's this? He doesn't recognize him. Some of you thought that he did when he goes, hi. Interestingly, someone said overcompensating. Wasn't that the overcompensating? And now you might get her. Did he actually know who she was when he said hi? And now it turns out when he says, who's this, he might not. Now, for those of you who think that they do know one another, what are your reasons for, or what kind of relationship, first of all, do you think they have? Are they close? Are they just like colleagues, know each other a bit? So who's for colleagues? Who's for colleagues? Still quite a number for colleagues. Okay. Who's for close friends? And you think that he could still not recognize her. Okay. Who's for, lovers, partners, or spouses? Let's go for that one. Or collapse those. No one for those. Oh, there's an optimist here. You think that they are. And what's your basis for thinking that?
I don't know about the conversation about the plate, bringing the plates, kind of having a meeting or something.
Right.
I don't know.
It's the domestic, let's say the domestic. You don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got. It's kind of domestic-y thing, rather than a colleague-y thing. Okay, then I think that we'll reveal the full truth to you. You can turn the page, and my assistant will play the entire piece, or at least most of this piece. Let's hear it. It's taking time to wake up. Shall I read through it while you're doing it? There you go, the green one. Okay, I'll just read through it while we try and get it sorted out. So you've got Wichita Blueprint. Hey, Jerry? Yeah, hi. Hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got. Who's this? He says. Linda. Oh, yeah, hi. What do you mean, who's this? And then they laugh. I won't try and replicate their laughter in lines 16 to 18. And Jerry says, oh, yeah, fine, and you? You get the prize. They're married. So you are the only, and this experiment is always trust your instincts. Don't think about reason. They're married. So the issue is that, are we able to play it? Okay, let's listen to it.
Which one is it, Frank?
Hey, Jerry?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got.
Who's this?
Linda.
Oh, hi.
I mean, who's this?
Oh, yeah, fine, and you?
Shall we listen just once more? Because there are a few details I want to pick out.
Which one is it, Frank?
Hey, Jerry?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates. I think I'll just use the plates I've got.
Who's this?
Linda.
Oh, hi.
I mean, who's this?
Oh, yeah, fine, and you?
Thanks. Now, it turns out they're married. The wife has phoned him at work, expects that as soon as when she says in line 8 and 9, hey, you don't have to bring any paper plates, they've got some kind of party on this evening, that he'll, of course, know who he's speaking to. So this is domestic business. But he is, in a place of work. He's at his work, and he answers with this workplace Wichita Blueprint. Now, you can think of this as something like the intersection between working and domestic life, an intersection that we sometimes have to handle. I've dropped. No? The theme of these presentations has been the way in which perception depends on context. And this is an exemplification of that. That is, you would think that recognizing someone's voice is you just open your ears. You know, you take your earplugs out, you hear a voice, and you recognize it. The point of this is that recognition is not like that. Think, for example, of seeing a face. This must be a common experience. You see a face that you think you know, but you can't quite, and you talk about, I can't quite place it. I can't quite place that person. So what you do is, in order to try to remember who that person is you try to put that face in some kind of context. Oh yes, that's the person who delivers the such and such, or that's the person who serves in such and such a shop. So you're trying to put the face into a context. And that's what perception is. It's putting the right, if you like, the right visual image into the right kind of context. So hearing a voice and recognize it is also finding the right context for that sound. It's not just hearing the sound and everything clicks into place. So perception in this respect is not an automatic process. It's not a neurological process. It's one which requires something like the mechanisms for interaction. That is, we interact with one another according to certain kinds of rules, which I'm going to call mechanisms. And they need to click into place. And sometimes things go wrong, as they've done here, and at times, this really highlights something Luke said, when things go wrong, you begin to see how they should go right. Now, let me just point to a few details. I think that some of you figured that when Jerry says hi, she says hi, that greeting in line 6, he responds, he reciprocates with hi. which one person thought it was slightly kind of overcompensating, which is an interesting kind of sense of what he might be doing there. Now, presumably, when she embarks on this domestic business in line 8 and 9 about the paper plates, she figures he's recognized her. After all, he did the high of recognition. Hi. I've shown you on the next sheet, and I'm not going to go into them, but I've shown you cases of where people do this. This is an absolutely standard pattern. One person does hi, and so she figures that he's recognized her when he reciprocates with his rather raised hi. Now, she'll assume that he's done it from his voice alone. There were two things that she didn't do when she did hi in line 6. She didn't say, hi, it's Linda, which would have been a self-identification. She would have told him who it is. Hi, it's Linda. Sometimes if you notice that the other person hasn't recognized, you say, hi, it's Paul. So, hi, it's Linda. Nor does she do, hi, sweetie, or hi, honey. That's to say she doesn't do the endearment, which, let's say normally, in other environments, in other contexts, a partner may do to the other. Hi, sweetie, would be a straightforward one. She just does hi. Of course, if she'd done hi, sweetie, now he might have still been a little bit, he'd have had to go through the people he called sweetie, or call him sweetie, but at least he'd have a clue. But when she just does hi, he doesn't have a clue. So she hasn't done one of those two kinds of self-identifications. Now what he hears from her in line 6 is hi. That's to say, he hears from her the expectation of something like intimacy, closeness, close relationship. But on the other hand, he's at a difficulty because he's also heard her say in line 2, hey Jerry. Notice that she didn't say, hey Jerry, or hi Jerry. When she does, hey Jerry, with upward intonation, she's not certain. She's displaying or marking uncertainty. It might be him, but she's not sure. So now he's got two messages. This is someone who knows him, knows well enough to have picked him out, but not necessarily well enough to be absolutely sure. And she's now done the hi. Now this is a very strong expectation that he has. A very strong expectation that he should recognize her. So he does hi. And we've all done it. You've all been in that situation of someone has greeted you, and you're not absolutely sure who they are, but you play along with it, don't you? You hope that, the unfolding interaction will reveal who they are. And that's what he does. He plays along. He hopes that it's going to reveal, but the first line doesn't give him a clue. You don't have to bring any paper plates for whatever reason. He's just locked out of that. It's partly because, of course, he's at work. He's not thinking about domestic life. Now, there are things about the not getting into domestic life that you can notice about this, but I think that I'm going to pass over those. Basically, you can see in this the kind of suppression of intimacy, the suppression of domesticity, when she doesn't say things like, hi, sweetie. And when she hears him just say hi, and he doesn't say, hi, honey, in return, of course, she can perfectly well explain that in terms of, if he's at work, there may be colleagues around. He's not going to do that kind of thing. So that for those reasons, this goes wrong. And it goes wrong right from, well, as you said, in the middle, this kind of hesitancy. You can see that what he does is to play along with it.
We're talking about actors here. It's not a conversation that's really happening.
This conversation really happened. These are not actors. These are people who agreed to have their phones recorded. No, these are not actors.
Oh, but I thought it was a scene from a play.
No. What I've done is to give you an extract from a scene from the Tom Wolfe novel in which this kind of problem emerges. That's to say, of course, in art, as in life, these things happen. But these are not actors. The next two people are also not actors. Could we see, you can now, if you turn over a couple of pages, we'll get this up on screen. This is a still. This is a still from a conversation between Bush and Blair that was recorded at the G8 meeting in St. Petersburg last year, about July 2006, which you may remember. You have a transcript of it here on your second to last page. This is the famous "Yo, Blair." There's a bit of controversy about whether he actually said "yo." But it's the "Yo, Blair" conversation. What happened was that Blair was passing Bush's seat maybe on the way out for lunch, I think it was. Although it's evident that Bush is having his lunch while sitting there. So Blair walks past. Bush has left his microphone on, and what the microphone recorded is what you've got here. I've left out a few lines. There's some stuff about the sweater. When the media reported this, in the media reporting in the days afterwards, they fixed on, I think, four main things. Firstly, this greeting, "Yo, Blair," and the kind of, as it were, is this disrespect? Is this, why did he use his last name? Why not call him, Tony? Wouldn't that be more friendly? This is a matter of relationships, and remember that first case was a matter of recognizing your relationship with somebody. So this is partly a matter of what is their relationship. Now, before I get to the end of this list of things that the media reported, let me ask you, which of these two do you think is the more articulate, or verbally dexterous, or an able diplomat, or good in negotiation? Just, okay, those in favor of Bush, show. Those in favor of Blair, show. So do the majority of you not think that either has any verbal dexterity whatsoever? That's cruel of you. What I'll show you is that those who think that Bush is the more verbally dexterous are correct. At least correct for this occasion and for this kind of occasion. So the media reporting focused on this greeting. They focused on the talk about the sweater, which I've left out between line 4 and 24. Bush thanked Blair for a present, and they joke about, Blair knitting it himself. Then there was Bush's expletive. If you look at lines 43, 44, Bush says, you see, the irony is that what they need to do is get Syria to get Hezbollah to stop doing this shit, and it's over. The use of shit was deemed inappropriate. Why it should be deemed inappropriate by an ex-oil man and a Texan and someone who's lived his life in politics, I don't know. But so they fixed on that. And finally, Bush's demeanor, the fact that he kept eating. You can see actually his mouth, you can see his cheek is full of, I like to think of it as full of hamburger, but we're not told what he was eating at the time. So these four features the media fixed on as depicting something like a relationship between the two. And what I think was that they got the wrong things. You remember that this G8 meeting was held just after Israeli troops had gone into Lebanon to pursue Hezbollah, who had captured 2 Israeli soldiers. And the world, as it were asking, why isn't America or Britain or others going in to intercede, to negotiate between the two sides? And this moment tells you why not, or how it came, rather than why not, how it came about that they didn't. There's a point, and I'll make this very brief because my guess is I'm running out of time. I'm looking for a timekeeper, but no one's. There's a moment when there's a moment when Blair tries to make an offer to go to the Middle East to intercede, and that moment is around line 34 on. And I'll have to read it to you. We were going to play this, but the sound is so awful that it wouldn't have made sense. So Blair says, but that's all that matters. But if you see, it will take some time to get that together. Yeah. But at least it gives people and Bush, it's a process, I agree. I told her your offer to her being Condoleezza Rice. And then Blair says, well, it's only if she's got or if she needs the ground prepared, as it were, because obviously if she goes out, she's got to succeed, if it were, whereas I can just go out and just talk. Now, this is the verbally dexterous, articulate leader, ex-leader. The point is that he is trying to make an offer. In terms of the mechanisms of ordinary interaction, it turns out there are 3 ways in which we make offers, generally speaking, at least in English, and there will be syntactic equivalents of course, in other languages. These 3 ways, and I'll translate these into Blair's offer to Bush. One is, do you want me? Do you want me to do such and such? Do you want me to go out to the Middle East? That's one form, the do you want me form. The second is just a direct statement. I'll go out, so I'll go to the Middle East and help out if you want. So I'll go out is the direct declarative, we call it. So that's the second form. The third form is, if you want me to go out to the Middle East, I'll go out for you. The if-then conditional form. So there are these 3 forms, which are the most common forms that we use for making offers. I think Luke mentioned earlier work of John Searle, a philosopher who's been interested really in the ways in which we do ordinary activities in talk, like making promises, making offers, requests, inviting one another. So, social life, social interaction is full of action. It's activities. We're doing things. It's not, as Wittgenstein said, just language idling. We're doing things with language. So these are the 3 ways that we have for doing an offer. Now it turns out that they are not equivalent. You can't just decide, today I think I'll do you want? And then tomorrow or later on I'll say, I'll go out to the Middle East. You don't just randomly pick and choose. It turns out that they are very strictly connected to their context. This is, again, context, action, and perception. So that, and I don't have time and you would get bored if I went into these 3 contexts in detail, but the key to this is, if you're phoning someone up or calling by their office in order to make an offer, if that's your reason for getting in touch with them, you always use the if-then construction. You do not use one of the other 2. Trust me. Try it, and you'll lose friends. Your interactions will fail. So if you are going to phone them to say, to make an offer, you do, well, if you'd like me to da-da-da-da, then I'll da-da-da. You use that construction. If, on the other hand, during a conversation with somebody, you're just talking with them, and somebody says, well, I don't know what to do about such and such, then you can say, I'll do it for you. That's to say that the offer was interactionally generated then and there by their mentioning a problem that they've got. So you offer that as a solution to their problem. But it has to be done right then and there. Now, a really shorthand version of this is that you can see that Blair completely fluffs it. He does not do an outright offer. What he does is, and I'll just read line 39 to 42 again, he does, well, it's only if she's got or if she needs the ground prepared, as it were. There's the if clause. He's done that. If he needs the ground prepared, as it were. He got it on the 3rd attempt, I have to say, but he got there. But he doesn't do the then clause. He does not do the offer to go. Because obviously if she goes out, she's got to succeed, if it were, whereas I can go out and just talk. He hasn't done, then I'll go and talk. He doesn't do it as an offer. And what that enables Bush to do is just walk away. So Bush's, in line 43 to 44, you see the irony is what they need to do is get Syria to get Hezbollah to stop doing the shit and it's over, is he just sidesteps completely from the offer. That's to say, Bush has been much, much more fleet-footed in interaction than has Blair. And the point of Blair not doing the outright offer, the if-then construction offer, is he doesn't want to be seen to have walked past his chair in order to make this offer. You world leaders do not want to say to one another, look, if you want me to go out there, then I'll do it for you. That's not the way. So he does not want to be seen as having made a direct offer. Just a point in conclusion. If I can find my... No, that's my reserved seat card. I think, 3 points. The first point is that context is everything in our perception, in interaction. So our perception, think of voice recognition as a form of perception. And from voice recognition, recognizing in that voice who we are to one another. Context is everything. It's not just that you hear the voice and automatically make a decision. Secondly, when things go wrong, and in both these cases, things have gone wrong. In the first case, catastrophically so. In the second case, things go wrong for Blair at least. When things go wrong, what that reveals is, or we begin to see how things should be, how it should have worked out. And the third thing is that what we're looking at here is the mechanisms for making sense of the world, of our social world. These are the mechanisms. Without using these mechanisms, you can't make sense of your social world, of your relationships with one another. So that think of yourselves as Luke's robots. When those robots, are looking around and trying to make decisions about things and communicate that, that's what we're doing, except that, as Luke said, we do it very much better, very much faster than robots most of the time, and we get it right most of the time, but sometimes not. The mechanisms for interaction sometimes give us erroneous results, as it were. Thanks.